Hello, one and all. This is Harry Kettle of Sportskeeda and MMA Today, and tonight we are being joined by a very special guest. This man holds a 17-1 professional mixed martial arts record and is one of the most promising contenders in the featherweight division. It is none other than Alex Volkanovski. Alex, how are you today?
Very good, mate. Very good. That sounds really good, mate. 17-1, one of the top contenders, mate. I appreciate that.
That's right, you're on the rise. And first off, you're in a bit of kind of like a weird spot right now. You've been in the UFC since late 2016, and yet many fans are only just starting to respect and kind of admire your work after your recent win. Have you noticed that you've gained a lot more exposure since Perth?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have noticed that. You know, again, I'm pretty well known in this part of the world. But it's good, you know, being on a pay-per-view event. You know, might not have been the biggest card. It was a cracker of a card, but might not have been the biggest card on paper. But there was still, people on the other side of the world that tuned in, and first time they ever saw me, and were quite surprised with how I went. So, you know, that's always good, you know. And I did notice that, my fans and supporters has branched out that little bit more.
So when you reflect on UFC 221 as an event, just how successful do you think it was in terms of putting Australian MMA on the map, even more so than it already is?
When I got told about being on the card, sorry?
So when you look at the event back, how successful do you think it was in terms of putting Australian MMA on the map?
Oh, yeah, really, really good. Again, you know, there was a lot of people talking about how the card, what kind of a card is this? Is a pay-per-view event card and things like that. You know, there was a lot of people saying things like that. But after the fight, man, people were blown away by the fights because it was such a good card. You know, we had some awesome fights. And the Anzacs, you know, the Australians and New Zealand fighters put on hell of a show, you know, and we looked really good out there. I believe it definitely put us on the map, you know. And I even seen a lot of tweets out there and things like that with people going, man, these Anzacs can bring it, you know what I mean? So I believe it was really good. I think people understand that we produce some really good fighters this side of the world, and I believe I played a big part in that. So, you know, I can't wait to see what's in future for all of us, you know, especially myself.
You've spoken in the past about wanting to beat up the bullies of the division. Do you think going forward you'll continue to market yourself in that kind of role? Because you kind of come across as something of a modern day MMA superhero of sorts by the way you kind of talk about some of your competitors.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the look I'm trying to go for. But you know what I mean? Like, I've always been the type, you know, I've always hated bullies. Even these guys that are marketing themselves that way, they're probably not bullies in real life, or you know what I mean? But you know, they just like the trash talk and all that sort of stuff. And I hate that. I sort of hate that. Look, I don't mind people marketing themselves and people talking up fights. You know, that's brilliant. But, you know, everyone's trying to do it and everyone's trying to diss on this people and all that and call everyone a bitch and this and that. And I just think, mate, I'm starting to cringe every time I see it now. And, you know, they're the guys I want. And I called out a couple of people after my fight, but, you know, I'm pretty sure that they're well, obviously Jeremy Stevens is booked. And I'm pretty sure Andre Feely's booked. So, you know, whether there's other guys there that like to talk, I don't know. I'm going to have to look a bit more into it. But, you know, there's still guys, you know, I want a ranked opponent. I believe I deserve the ranked opponent. And I think I've proven that I'm, you know, one of the elite fighters, you know, in the UFC, in the featherweight division. So, you know, I want one of these ranked guys. I know there's a couple of guys in there that aren't matched up yet. You know, you got ones like Yair Rodriguez, Duhu Choi, even Mizrad Bektik, you know, I believe they're not matched up, and you know they're guys in the top 10 or you know just out, and they're guys I'd love to fight. You know, Yair Rodriguez coming off a big loss, you know, hasn't fought for like 9 months. You know, does he deserve a top ranked opponent yet? You know, I don't know. So you know, I'd love to be the guy that you know these guys need to prove that they deserve to be in the top 10. You know, same as Duhu Choi coming off 2 losses. You know what I mean? I just believe that, you know, fight me and prove to everyone that you deserve to be in the top 10. You know, no disrespect to these guys. You know, they're great athletes and, you know, they're good at what they do. But, you know, I just believe that you know, I deserve a ranked opponent. I'm going to be the guy that they need to beat to prove that they need to stay in the top 10.
Do you think that's kind of a problem in today's UFC, given that some ranked fighters will look at people like you who are on the rise and aren't quite in that top 15 and will think, well, that win won't do much for me, so I'm not going to take that fight?
That, look, that is the game. That's how it works, and I don't think that's. I think that's fair. I believe that's fair. But when you're coming off, as I said, a couple of these guys coming off losses, and it's just things like that, and inconsistency in fighting and things like that's when you've got to start looking. Well, I can't just keep fighting these guys that are ranked above me. I need to earn my spot to stay here. You know what I mean? So you got to give and take. And I totally understand. Like I don't. If I was them, I wouldn't want to fight me either. I'm not ranked, and I believe I'm a top fighter. I'm a top 5 fighter, and these guys probably know that too. So they're looking at it like, wait, I'm going to fight this guy that's not ranked, and he's probably harder than half the guys in the top 10. But at the same time, you're coming off losses, and you can't just keep taking the fights that suit you. Eventually you're going to have to work with the game.
So when you actually look at the division as a whole in comparison to the rest of the UFC, would you say it's one of maybe the strongest? And are there any names that come to mind for you as standout competitors who you put in like the kind of pound for pound best?
But out of the whole UFC?
In terms of like in featherweight in comparison to the rest of the UFC?
Oh, we're a stacked division. We've got some plenty of good fighters in our division. And I believe even look at Max Holloway's doing. Max Holloway's doing good things. Again, you know what I mean. Even though these are great fighters, and I believe they are, I know I am too. And I look at these guys and know that I look at myself and look at I can be potential pound for pound best in the world. So I believe a lot of the guys in the featherweight division are as well. So only time will tell. There's a lot of up and comers in our division. So it's it's a crazy division to be in. We've got it's very, very stacked. It's not shallow at all, and right up to the 20s and even 25s, we've got some beasts in there, and you're going to look at a lot of future stars. That's for sure.
And I think when people look at kind of your physique alongside people like Josh Emmett, like that, you two have got quite big physiques, and they kind of assume that you would have fought a higher weight class if they didn't know anything about you. Is the weight cut easy or difficult, and what led to your decision to fight at featherweight?
Well, I'm actually small for featherweight division. Like you might look, I do look stocky, but that's probably because I'm like 5'5", 5'6", so I'm only very short. But in saying that, I am pretty heavy set. I know Josh Emmett's fought like lightweight his almost his whole life, and now he's a featherweight. He's a big featherweight. He's really stocky, and then he's probably got a couple of inches on me, in height as well, and he's probably thicker than me. So he's a big featherweight. But for me, I make weight pretty easy. I'm like I said, I might be a short division. I might look small, but when it comes to weight, I believe I'm just as heavy, if not heavier, than a lot of the guys in the division. So but I mean, like I've fought at middleweight. So I used to be 97 kilograms. Playing rugby league. Uh-huh. I was a front rower, and you could just imagine that. Imagine a 5'6" guy, with a massive fat head just running straight at a brick wall. That used to be me. But and I fought at middleweight. All my amateurs actually. I fought like 4 fights at middleweight. My first 4 at welterweight. My first 4 at professional fights at welterweight, and then I just worked my way down. And now I fight at featherweight, and I make weight easy, and I feel very strong in this division.
You mentioned your rugby league past. It's something you've spoken about before, and that kind of leads on to one of my questions. It's taken a page out of a show called Inside the Actors Studios book. Is there another job or profession, maybe outside of rugby league as well, that you either would have liked to have attempted growing up or would still like to attempt in the future?
Yeah, look, I love the rugby league and that, team sport, but, I just... MMA, I love it so much more. I don't know I think if it was going to be another sport that I would want to play, it'd be some sort of combat sport, because I love the fact that it's me in there. Even playing rugby league, I believe I used to do all right, and I was a very consistent sort of player. Like I used to love running the ball. I used to run a lot, and I used to be pretty good at it as well. So I would have like 2 hit ups, we call it. That means 2 runs per set of 6. Usually you do 1. But I used to be very, very, like I used to run a lot anyway. And you might be having your best game you've ever played, and you still could lose a match. You know what I mean? Because it's a team sport. And I don't know, not that I cared about that, but the fact that, fighting and it's me in there, if I have a bad day, that's on me. You know what I mean? If I have a good day, I'm going to kick ass, you know what I mean? And I'll get that win. Where I think I love that, and I love that the pressure's just on me. And yeah, I don't know what it is, but I just love the fact that it's all on me in there. And, there's no excuses at all. There's no excuses except for how your prep went and things like that. So you know what I mean. And I'm a pretty motivated guy. So I know it's a good sport for me because I will always push myself to the best. Whether I got an injury like I did my last 2 fights, I'll do whatever it takes to recover from them and get fit enough to fight. I'll never be, I'm fit enough, that'll do. I'm always like, nah, I'm preparing for the worst, and I believe it's starting to show in my fights.
In your actual day-to-day life, do you have any kind of hobbies or interests that some fans may not be aware of?
Oh, well, daddy life, mate. Daddy life keeps me real busy, that's for sure. But there's a few things, mate. Like I guess I'm a family man. I really am a family man. And doing this sport, obviously a lot of times I've got to do camps in overseas or a different part of Australia and things like that, and come back. So when I come back, I like to spend as much time with the family as I can. But when it comes to other hobbies, there's a few out there, man. I'm a pretty active guy. I love my camping and fishing and stuff like that. So just I'll do stuff like that. I don't know whether many people know about that, but I don't mind getting out there and doing a little bit of fishing, and I don't really want to say, but I do a bit of hunting for my own meat and stuff like that. But I was usually going to try and keep that on the low, but you got it out of me.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned travel there, because in your career you have kind of fought exclusively in Australia and New Zealand alongside a few fights in Guam. Would you like to expand your horizons in that way beyond your home turf? Maybe in order to prove to some kind of doubters who say, can you get the job done without having the tag of being a fan favourite or kind of a local boy with the fans being behind you?
Yeah, definitely. That's been my goal for the last couple of fights. But after my last fight, I wanted to be over there in the US and fight over there and really branch out. Again, the pay-per-view sort of done that. Obviously, everyone around the world will watch pay-per-view event. But at the same time, this part of the world will be more intrigued because there's so much more fighters from this area. But I want to fight over there in the States. And, we're talking to Sean Shelby, and that's something that he's happy to play along with as well. So I reckon I'll be over there in May or June. We haven't set any dates or any opponents yet, but I think that's what we're looking for. And I definitely want to fight over there and really, branch my name over there in that market. Obviously, it's huge over there in the US, you know what I mean? Like it's based over there. So I definitely want to get over there and branch right out and show the world what I'm made of.
That'd be quite a relatively quick turnaround when it comes to the average of how often fighters get back in there. Are you someone who wants to keep busy? Are you someone who wants to be in there maybe 3 or 4 times a year?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I want to fight. Yeah, four times a year would be absolutely perfect. So, May, June, I'd fight early if I have to, but the fact that I've come off injuries and stuff like that, like I'm not injured now, so I can keep training, but the fact that, my last couple of camps, I've been fighting, like, injured, recovered, then I had to get fit for the fight. I haven't really had a chance to get better. Haven't really had a chance to have the pressure off and train and learn. And now I can do that for like a month or 2 or whatever it is, and then get the fight for May or June, and then just get ready for the fight, and then you're going to see a whole nother me. I'm a quick learner, so I can learn a lot in 2 months of training to get better, especially if I travel and go to other places and train and just sort of branch out the knowledge. And, you're going to see a whole nother beast, mate. Every fight you're going to see me get better, especially now that I'm getting more and more composed and experienced in there. I just believe that, every time I get in there, I feel that little bit more calmer, that little bit more, composed. So I'm starting to really, really. I've always understood the game. Sparring and training outside the cage has always been good for me, but now I'm starting to bring that in the cage, and I'm still not where I want to be. I know I can be even more composed in there and more lethal. So, mate, I believe that's scary. I believe that's scary in this featherweight division. So, I can't wait to go out there and do my thing next fight.
So when it comes to your own game personally, what would you highlight as your one major strength? And on the flip side, is there one thing you'd highlight as something that you're going to continue to keep working on more before facing some of the bigger names in the division in the next few months or years?
Well, not really. I want to get better everywhere. I believe I'm very well rounded. I haven't really got to show my striking. Again, when it comes to being composed, I'm really composed with my MMA grappling and stuff like that. And once I grab a hold of people, obviously it's such a controlled environment. Once you grab a hold of someone, I'm so strong and I can slow the pace down. I can bring it to however I want, even though I'm a high-paced type of fighter anyway. But, definitely I want to work more on my striking. Like I said, my striking in the gym and all that is high level. I spar with high-level kickboxers and I do really well. So I haven't really got to show that in the cage yet. But once I get composed and, once I find some guys that can keep up with me in there, no disrespect. Again, I've got a lot of respect for my opponents, my future opponents, and my last opponents. But, once I grab a hold of these guys, I'm too strong. So I'm like, well, yeah, all right, if I'm going to just throw these guys around and land ground and pound like that, why bother giving them a chance to land that lucky punch? You know what I mean? Until someone's strong enough to take me down or threaten me on the ground or stop my takedowns, then you're going to see me strike. And that's another place that I don't believe people are going to want to be once I start landing my bombs.
And finally, what do you think we can expect in the next 18 to 24 months from Alex Volkanovski?
Big wins. Some big wins against some top guys, impressive performances, and I'll be up there ready for a title shot early next year, I reckon. Like I said, I like to fight regularly. So if I get 4 fights this year, that's 7 fights on the trot. That's 7 wins on the trot. If things go to plan, which obviously that's what I want. That's 4 on the trot. There's going to be some big names in there, mate. You're looking at a title shot right there. So, be prepared. I'm not a cocky type of fighter, but I believe in what I can do, and I think I've proven that I am a top contender. You know what I mean? And there's not many fighters even in the featherweight division that have a consistent win like me. 14 wins in a row. There's a couple in there like Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, I think Darren Elkins, that got some, a nice streak happening, you know what I mean? So, give me 4 more, and I'm like, what's that going to be? That's going to be 18 wins on the trot. You know what I mean? That's definitely time for a title, I reckon.
Wow, Alex, it really has been great speaking to you today. Can't wait to see you back in there around May or June and beyond, and really looking forward to seeing the next few steps in your journey.
No worries. Thanks for having me, mate. Sorry about my little coughs and that here and there.
I'm sure no one will notice. It's fine.